Today's video is going to be a wrap-up of Term 1 of 2019. It's going to be a report card for me, by me. Hey everyone, it's EJ Kafootballs here. Welcome back to Kafootball Land. Today's video is being filmed like the very next day or the very next night, you can tell it's night time, after our Term 1 has finished here in New South Wales, Australia in 2019. And I had a couple of requests for a video about just a sort of an end of term wrap up and what it's been like for me. So it's going to be a little bit personal, but I thought that I would do like a report card for teachers. So I have divided it up into 5 categories. And if you want to do this video as well, teacher's report card video, feel free to join in. It's kind of good to reflect, I think, and to evaluate your progress and things that have happened to you as a teacher during the term. I keep saying term, and for my American friends, we just divide our school year up into 4 parts, and each one is called a term. I believe you guys call them quarters over there. So it's usually a 10-week block of school, and then it's followed by 2 weeks of holidays, except for the last one at the end of the year, which is 6 weeks holidays. So at this point in time, we're at the end of our first term, first quarter, and I've just started my 2 weeks of Easter holidays. So I'm excited, I'm happy, and I'm tired. Let me get my laptop because I actually pre-prepared some notes and I thought that it would be fun for me. So it's all about me, this video. The first category I made was planning and programming. So for that, I gave myself a C+, which is sound. My situation has changed this year. As you probably know if you watch my videos, I have taken on a leadership role at school, and so that means that my teaching load has diminished by 9 periods a fortnight. Our school timetable goes in fortnightly cycles. It's a 2-weekly cycle, which means that I've got Year 11 Advanced English, I've got Year 12 Advanced English, I've got Year 11 Extension English, I've got Year 7 English, and then I've got this one floating period every fortnight of Year 9 English, which I share with one of my colleagues. So that's not really my responsibility to plan and program for. That's his, but we just communicate and he tells me what I need to teach. Our faculty has backward mapped from the new senior syllabus. So that affects Year 7 in that we do a kind of a reading to write style unit in the first term, which I really enjoy because it's quite open and flexible and you can really tailor make it to the students' needs. Anyway, Year 7 is good. Years 11 and 12, obviously, as I said, have a new syllabus and it started last year. So I taught my current Year 12s the Year 11 syllabus last year. And so I really like teaching something 2 years in a row because I feel like the first year, when something's brand new, like the new syllabus, you're learning so much and taking so much on board. And then the second time you teach it, you've had time to evaluate and reflect, and then you can implement the changes that you feel needed to be made the second year. So I'm enjoying that. So the planning and programming, I feel like I'm fairly on top of. I gave myself a C+ because I just want to tweak everything a little bit, and ideally I would do that these holidays. But I don't know if I'm going to have time because we're going to go camping. So we shall see. The next category is collaboration and collegiality, and I gave myself a B+ for this, mainly because my new role is a leadership one and it's a whole school one. So I have had so many opportunities to sort of get around the school and talk to different teachers and talk to executive, senior executive, be on the executive team, which I've done before, so that's not a new experience. But it's just really good to have those conversations that are whole school based. I think it just gives you a different perspective. I am also very, very blessed to have a great faculty in English. We all get along really well and we communicate really well, and I don't know, I think I've been functioning okay in that, except that I didn't give myself an A because with my new role I'm kind of out of the staff room a fair bit more than usual. So I feel like I haven't had quite the same conversations in English as I usually have. Anyway, B+ is pretty good. The next one is marking, and in the States you guys call that grading. So I've given myself an A for marking because I am on top of it. I do have a new assessment task that came in on the second last day, which I will be marking in the holidays, hopefully before we go camping. Apart from that, I've marked everything that needs to be marked, and I have written down all of the results. And I think it's easy to be on top of the marking when you have fewer classes than a regular classroom teacher. So yep, that's all good. Connecting with students, I've given myself a C+ on this. And normally I'd give myself a higher result for that, but it's just the same thing again. not being on as many classes, I've really noticed the difference, especially because I'm not teaching stage 5, which is years 9 and 10. Like, I've really noticed not having kids around me all the time. So a typical day, I usually teach between 3 and 4 periods a day, which is necessary because I've got lots to do. Like, I've got loads to do for learning and support. But normally I would be teaching nearly all day. So it's a big difference there. I always try to connect. You might have seen one of my other videos. I think I called it How to Connect with Students or something like that. And I do try to, especially when I'm on playground duty, I walk around and I talk to students. I always try to have a sense of humour. I always ask them questions about their life. So it's not that I'm bad, it's just that I'm noticing a difference with the reduced teaching load. The next category, I'm just looking down because I've got my laptop here. The next category is teacher organisation. So I'm a fairly organised person, so I gave myself a B. I didn't give myself an A because I still have loads of decluttering to do, and I find now that my days at school, this term especially for some strange reason, has just been so hectic. That's not just me who's saying that. Lots of teachers around the school, and I think at other schools too that I follow on Instagram, have been saying how hectic it was this term. I don't know if it's just because it was an 11-week term, which is not always normal. We don't always have an 11-week term, but when we do an 11-week term, we usually get a 9-week term the next one. Not this year, not in 2019. We've got 10 weeks next term, 10 weeks the one after, and 10 weeks for term 4. So, but yeah, really hectic with the learning and support stuff and being the coordinator of that. You know, I just seem to have papers everywhere, and I'm still streamlining a system that I will use for myself to keep on top of all of that sort of stuff. I'm really trying to use my Google Drive as much as possible to reduce the amount of paper, and also just to sort of have everything in one place. I just find that's a much more organised system, and I'm getting there. I've created pro formas, and I've set up the shared diary, and I've set up my own diary. The way that I manage caseloads of students, I'm setting up a system for that as well. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. The next category is work-life balance. Work-home life balance. I actually detest that term, but you know what I mean, like trying to keep everything together and fairly functioning. So for that, I gave myself a C-. I'll probably explain in the next category a little bit more, but I have had a lot of difficulty in my personal life, and so for a long time, and so I feel like, I don't know, do you feel like this? My house is like suffering. My house is suffering because of it, because I have not for a long time been spending the regular routines that I used to have. I haven't been doing them, and so I feel like I've got a backlog of housework. I don't know, I just don't feel like I've got the balance. The other thing is I'm teaching offline 2 days, 2 afternoons a week, which I'm hoping to change next term, and that means that I'm home late for those afternoons. Also, I have an early morning executive meeting, you know, blah blah blah. I feel like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just sort of trying to explore why I don't feel like everything's balanced. And I don't think as teachers we ever do feel like everything's perfectly balanced. I have a lot of ideas on work-life balance, and I want to say to you that my life is not perfect. And I don't think anybody's life is perfect, and I think that we each have different circumstances that we have to deal with, and so we shouldn't judge each other or ourselves on a set of criteria that may not be applicable for the different circumstances, if you know what I mean. For me personally, I don't feel like I've quite got it together at the moment as much as I usually have, but I've never got it 100% together, okay? Just don't think that I'm some kind of hero here with the work-life balance stuff. I do plan to make some videos on some of my ideas and strategies though, in order to try to improve that a little bit. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. The last category is well-being. So for this one, I actually gave myself a D because this term was so crazy for me. I actually had to have 2 surgeries, and I won't go into detail, but the first what do you call it, like incision or wound? I don't know, it got infected. So I had to go to the hospital, to the wound care clinic every day after the surgery. So like I had almost not quite a week off for the first surgery, got infected. Then I had to go to the hospital every day for a month to have the wound cared for. Then I had the second surgery, and so then there's like another week off, and I just felt really, and before I had the surgeries, I thought, I I've got the surgery coming up, and when I'm at home, I'm just going to get on top of everything, and I'm going to, get the house all organised and blah, 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 get up to date with my schoolwork. It didn't happen because I actually had pain, and I had to, my body just wasn't what it usually is, and I just had to rest. And I really am a firm believer in respecting the process of healing and allowing the time that is needed for those things to happen. So I didn't get on top of my house. And it's kind of like a vicious cycle when that happens, because if your house isn't the way you want it to be, you sort of feel a bit down or a bit frustrated. And anyway, also at school, I didn't finish the term strong. I didn't feel like I was 100% satisfied with my organisation, and I didn't finish the term feeling like, yes, I've completed my term. I will now prepare for term 2, and then I'll be ready for term 2. I didn't feel like that. Whereas I often do feel like that. I often at the end of a term feel like, oh yes, that's good, that's all finished. And no, I feel like there are some loose ends that didn't get tied up the way that I would have liked. I had a couple of questions from Instagram that I wanted to answer because they're sort of on the same topic as this. The first one is, how much stuff do you take home over the holidays? Is it just marking, or is it preparation for next term? Well, I'm very conscientious, especially with my seniors, my years 11 and 12, because I feel like it's really important to stay on top of everything for their sake. So I do preparation for them, especially at the moment because it's a new syllabus, and year 12 is hitting that right now. So yes, I will do some, but I don't get stressed about it, and I'm not a perfectionist, and I do a little bit. I do some, and then I have fun. I do some and I have some fun. That's all I have for you today. If you want to make a report card video about your term, I would love to hear it. I'll put the categories down in the description box of this video. If you would like to see more teaching tip videos, or just videos about my lifestyle as a high school English teacher, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And also, I want to leave you with this thought. I would love for you to teach well, live well, and be well. I'll see you in the next video.